Welcome to In the Spotlight, where we shine a light on people making a difference in the world of divorce and real estate. And today we are shining a light on Michael Klein, who comes to us from Hoboken, New Jersey. We are excited for him to come and share his story and all of his wealth of knowledge with us here at In the Spotlight. I'm Laurel Starks, and I'm your host. Michael is a certified divorce real estate expert, and he is a highly accomplished realtor, again, based in Hoboken, New Jersey. Here are a few highlights from his impressive background. I had to type them out. Over 1,530 clients he has served, over $1.2 billion in real estate since 2003. How impressive. Michael is a court-appointed neutral in divorce litigation and probate cases across New Jersey. He is the only realtor in the Liberty Board of Realtors to earn the Platinum Award every year since 2005. Michael frequently works with attorneys and judges to navigate complex real property sales, and he's known for staying neutral, being professional, and solutions focused in these high conflict situations. He is a featured speaker at legal conferences, including the New Jersey State Bar Family Law Symposium. Michael also is certified through the Ilumni Institute in our Ilumni Speakers Bureau to provide continuing legal education to family law attorneys and judges in New Jersey. So welcome, Michael. We are excited to have you here, and I'm excited to dig in. Tell us a little bit about your business and the evolution of your business, from your business structure, your lead sources, that sort of thing, and then how you got into the divorce real estate space, and even taking it a little further into just serving litigation cases.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me, Laurel. As you indicated, I started back almost 22 years ago in the business, and it's always tough to get going. But once I did, I was obviously not dealing with divorce. I was just dealing with regular people buying and selling properties. I've always built my business or run my business under a couple different thoughts, or you can call them models. One is I don't like the word customer. I believe everybody is a client. Customer is somebody that goes to the store and buys a sandwich.
Mm.
And to me, you make more money with clients than you do with customers. So I've always treated people in that respect. Uh, I've also worked with the thought process in my mind that at the end of working with somebody, if they're not so happy with your service that they're ready to use you again or refer you, then all you did was make a sale to a customer, but you failed to gain a client.
Mm.
Um, I think that's one of the strongest things that enabled me to grow from the very beginning and take my business to where it's at. You asked how I got into divorce real estate. Like any good business person, at some point, I thought, how can I expand my source of business? And I said, I'm in a young community. More people are getting divorced than dying. So, although I had a lot of friends going after probate, I decided to jump into the divorce arena. I actually asked every real estate attorney I know if they knew a divorce attorney that I could speak to. Nobody did. I actually finally found an attorney who connected me with somebody, and she turned out to be the president of our local chapter of the Inns of the Court, which
Mm.
provides CLE credits to family law attorneys. Um, and it was from there that I just started to take off. I will say that speaking in a small group of attorneys in the beginning made me very, 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 very nervous. Uh, to the point now that whether I speak to 5 attorneys in their office or 30 or 50 judges in a meeting, it's just like you and I having a conversation now. So that's a little dig to people that nobody jumps out of the gate as the top best presenter speaker of anything we do, but keep going at it. And my arena into the divorce field has been very rewarding. I sort of treat every case like a 50,000 piece jigsaw puzzle. And either the attorney or the court has given me the puzzle and it's missing a piece. And they ask me to solve the puzzle. And although obviously there's financial rewards in just selling regular real estate, I really feel rewarded helping these people come to the ability of going back to their own happy land and helping them solve their problems. And I very much enjoy working with the legal community in accomplishing this.
Yeah, a jigsaw puzzle is a really a really good way to describe it because no two are alike, and it does indeed require someone to take a look at all the pieces, lay them all out, and then figure out how you're going to put them together. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's really good. So, so you at some point along the way, so you had some experience in divorce before you got your CDRE credential, correct?
Yeah. I had probably been trying to do some divorce for about 7 years
Uh-huh.
uh, before I took the course with Ilumni. And I could tell anybody that's possibly listening to this, you're a fool if you think you could just do it on your own. Um, every little nugget that I've learned is amazing, and I'll give you the most simple one in the world. I didn't know legal lingo, so
Mm,
I'll remember one of the first light bulbs that went off in my head was when learned the words in spouse and out spouse.
mm,
Because when you can learn and speak to the attorneys in the language that they understand, you're accepted more. And once you're accepted more, it means you're going to be respected and get more work from them. So Alumni has been a great place for me to work with other CDREs, network with other CDREs, and just learn and enable me to grow my business even more.
hmm It's like you become a native in a foreign land.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, indeed. And so then tell us about once you became a CDRE, then tell us about your business and how it's evolved since then.
So I might have taken a slightly different path than a lot of CDREs do. Um, I have been a big proponent of sponsoring events, and I actually happen to sponsor all the events. I co-sponsor them with an appraiser friend of mine. We've been doing it together for 10 years, and it helps having a very energetic person as a wing person because sometimes he gets us into a law firm that I don't know anybody, and vice versa. Sometimes I get him into a firm. But I know my method is not the method for everybody. I probably spend 20 to $25,000 a year sponsoring events.
Hmm.
Now, part of that is because my area is also broken up into smaller um, areas. So I try and do events for 4 to 5 bar associations. So not everybody that is going to take that path would have to spend anywhere near what I do.
Yeah.
But I found that speaking to an attorney in their office or speak to them on the phone is not the same as meeting them in a social atmosphere to the point that you become one of them. As a matter of fact, in November, I'm going to Puerto Rico with my bar association.
Wow.
So again, the more that you can become one of them, the more that they're going to think of you, and the more that your business is going to grow, and that's just going to keep evolving.
Now, what percentage of your business now is divorce or litigation?
I would say I'm probably up to about 25 or 30%.
That's
The
great. And
goal,
you do a big
the go-
business.
yeah, and the goal is to get that up to 85 to 90%.
Okay. What do you think the secret is to doing that?
To continue what I'm doing,
Yeah.
uh, speaking to more attorneys, going to more networking events, and it's interesting because some people hate hard cases, and which I'm working on one right now, and I sometimes think the hard case is actually the better case because it really allows me to shine, and it allows both the judge and the attorneys to realize that there's a difference between people's knowledge, experience, and success rate. So I think the harder the case, the more I shine, the more they want to give me more work.
Tell me a little bit about the case. I think I know which one you're talking about, but tell me a little tell us a little bit about that case.
So I'm on a case right now that was court ordered to me somewhere between 4 and 5 months ago. I'm told that the case is close to 7 years old. Um, the parties have spent approximately $1.2 million in legal fees. Now, this case started in another county, but the judge has now come over to Hudson County, where I am, and he brought the case with him. The wife is an active realtor. The husband has right of first refusal. And just from the
Explain what that means
right of
for
first
those that don't
refusal
understand.
means if an offer was to come in, the husband has the right to buy the property at that matched value,
Hmm.
which became a whole issue in itself, which
Hmm.
could be a whole topic of when do you determine what's the value for right of first refusal. But the problem is we were trying to go through the seller disclosure, and their disclosures couldn't be, and it's not even night and day, black or white. And then the wife accused the husband of just putting things down to try and lower the price because he has the right to buy it lower. I have spent close to 14 hours, 5 court sessions with both counsel, the parties, and the judge trying to decipher how to respond to the seller disclosure. And to this day, as you and I are speaking, we are still not done.
Mm.
And then it was at my suggestion to the judge that we needed to put some orders in place for parameters of what is a right of first refusal, or we're going to wind up in court 9 more times. So it's a very heated case that just doesn't want to stop.
It's no wonder they've spent over $1 million in legal fees.
Yes,
And, these are some of these, and thanks for explaining that, because these are some of these instances where, it can, on the surface, it can present itself as one thing that you want to get into divorce real estate, or that you're a client who, you've got to sell your house and you're going through a divorce, and you just don't realize that, you just hire any realtor to do it. But when you drill down and you really kind of get under the hood of what is involved in these cases, things get very, very complicated. And so, like you indicated, you've got these two sets of disclosures, and you've got one client who is wanting to, who has a vested interest in depressing the value. So the
yes,
more that he is able to, to manufacture these disclosures that the house is, whatever, falling apart, then the more that's gonna take some skill to try and work that out. And so anyway, very good. What advice would you give, Michael? So if somebody is watching and they're like, you know what, I'm looking to get into divorce real estate, what advice would you give to a realtor who's looking to get into it?
I think the first bit of advice has to start with they have to realize that everything is not going to go their way. They have to remain neutral. So you can't take what's going on to heart. I always say that these are their problems. I'm here to help them solve them. And even when they get angry at me, they're really not angry at me. They're angry at the situation that they're in.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to put up with that. And you have to realize that this every case is not, oh, come list my house. I put it on the market. We get an offer 3 weeks later, and then it closes. You could probably do as many or 10 times as me, Laurel, of cases that you thought you even got a good offer, and then one of the spouses wouldn't accept it. And then what do you do? Because it's a divorce case and so on and so forth. So no two cases are alike. You have to be wanting to help people, and you have to be willing to put up with politely saying ridiculous responses and roadblocks, and you have to be a good problem solver to try
Hmm.
and navigate through some of these issues.
Thick skin, right?
Thick
Thick
skin
skin.
it is.
Um, so moving on to another sort of topic, and um, that is regarding the actual homeowner who is getting a divorce, and people who are about to face divorce. They're either, in the midst of divorce, they're in the middle of the sale of their house, or they're thinking about divorce. As it relates to the house, you have seen a lot, and you have learned a lot, and you've amassed a lot of knowledge that divorcing homeowners sure could use. What are a few things that you would advise divorcing homeowners to do or not to do when they are faced with dealing with the house in their case?
I think I'm going to start with what I believe is one of the most important. They have to realize that whether we're talking about a divorcing couple selling a house or any other topic in the world, in any career, that there are people that specialize in certain things for a reason. And there's no difference than there's a difference between a realtor that only works with renters versus a realtor that works with sales. Well, there's a difference between people who specialize in selling a home during divorce and the conflicts that come up, and people that do not. There's so many issues that can come up during a divorce. This is not the time to hire your friend, your neighbor, the realtor that just sold you the home, who, first of all, might not have even sold that many homes in their life representing the seller, but the amount of homes that they've sold during conflict, you know, I've sometimes asked attorneys, do they think that the outcome of their client's divorce could vary if they hired a different attorney? And they always say yes. And then I say, don't you think your outcome of selling your home could be different depending on the realtor that you hire? Now multiply that times 100 when there's conflict involved. And
Mhm.
getting somebody who can help you navigate these situations can sometimes even help your attorney navigate these situations. Because with all due respect to the legal field, most attorneys don't have the real estate experience to deal with certain issues, and they rely on us to help give them the proper guidance.
So hiring a specialist, someone who specializes and has experience in these divorce cases. Don't underestimate the problems and the complexity that these listings and these sales present. What else would you
Yeah,
tell? What
well, I
else
was
would you tell
just,
somebody
if I
who's
can add one more thing to that,
yeah,
so many people sometimes say, well, our divorce is somewhat friendly. We're going to be okay.
yeah.
But I've learned from experience that the further you get into a divorce, the more heated the divorce becomes and the friendliness starts to go away. You start talking about all of a sudden selling the home, dividing the retirement 401k or this or that. And all of a sudden, that friendly divorce is not so friendly anymore. And you do not want to be in a situation tied up with a realtor that doesn't know how to deal with this. I have spoken to countless attorneys and judges in my career that say that they would need a calculator for the amount of times that they're told that they have the right realtor. And then 4 or 6 or 8 weeks into the case, the realtor asks to be let go of the listing because they
Mm-hmm.
can't deal with the conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So, they might tell you in the beginning, oh, this is no problem. It's just like selling another home. It's not. I promise you it's not.
Yeah. Good advice. Good advice. Kind of on that same path. You've also you educate. I mean, that's one thing I know about you, Michael, is that you are always educating your attorneys, whether it is just on a phone call because they've called you to ask you something, or whether you're doing a lunch and learn in their office, or whether you are standing in front of a room at the family law at the statewide family law conference, giving a lecture, or you're educating judges. What would you've got a lot of information and a lot of advice, but if you could distill it down to maybe 3 points, what do you think family law attorneys and judges might want to know about real estate?
Well, we touched on one point already, and I think it's important that the legal community realizes that there is a difference between people who specialize in divorce or other types of litigation versus just a realtor who sells property. No different than you don't go to a divorce attorney if you were arrested for drunk driving, and you don't go to a general practice person if you were up on murder. So I think it's important they know that. I think it's important that they understand what equity is. A lot of times people
Mhm.
are making decisions based on the equity that they believe is in the house. And they believe the equity is, oh, the home is worth X, we owe Y on the mortgage. The equity just must be A minus B. Um, and until we educate them all the other things that could be involved that reduces the equity, they could be harming their clients by locking them into an agreement that really cannot be completed in the manner that they thought they were. But if I could really point to the most important thing that I think needs to be known by the legal community, be it attorneys or the judiciary, has to do with orders. And that's one of the biggest things that I concentrate on is when people get ordered to sell a home or agreed upon to sell a home, an order sometimes just comes down that Michael Klein is your realtor, you will cooperate with him. There is 10 million different things that can come up. You have a litigating couple and there's no orders to support this. And now what happens is one party doesn't want to do something. Now all of a sudden, an attorney has to file a motion with the court, and this goes on time and time and time again. If the right orders are put in place from the beginning, we could minimize, if not completely get rid of, motion after motion in regards to selling the property. And that does a few things. It not only makes it easier to sell the property, which at the end game is to get the parties back to happy land. It also saves the parties a lot of money because every time their attorney files a motion, they're paying again and again and again. Third, and maybe most important, is there's always a complaint that the courts are backed up. They can't hear my case for so long. That's because the judiciary is dealing with all these motions on the past cases. And if we can clean up the judiciary by putting orders in place up front, that would give the judiciary more time to hear new cases instead of just keep hearing the same complaints about old cases.
Hmm. Efficiency.
Efficiency,
Yeah. Um,
improving the judicial economy.
improving the judicial economy. What are some examples of things that you think should be in orders?
Well, one thing has to do with compensation. And I know that this, in light of the new laws that are out there, is a heated topic. But the problem is you're dealing with two people representing one property. And if there's no mention of compensation in a court order, and one party wants to give me X commission and the other party doesn't want to give me X commission, I'm frozen and can't get the home on the market. Um, Sometimes orders come through that just says the home is to be sold as is. And I remember having a conversation with a judge when I presented to the judiciary, and he asked me, "What's wrong with that?" And I asked him if he had seen the home, and of course he said no. I said, "Do you know, Judge, do you know if there's any structural problems?" He said no. I said, "Do you know if there's any environmental problems?" He said no. "Do you know if there's any tenants in the home that aren't paying rent?" He said no. I said, "You have a litigating couple, and now a buyer comes along, and let's say that there's a roof problem, and the buyer wants credit. You've just given permission to the spouse to say we're not negotiating. The court said it's being sold as is. So unless we nip that in the bud up front, we just have problem after problem after problem."
Hmm. Good advice. Very, very good advice. Um, well, Michael, is there anything else that you that you think anybody needs to know before we wrap it up?
I think it's important, depending on who's listening to this, if it's the public, obviously choose an experienced divorce attorney is important. And don't be afraid to talk to your attorney if they know a realtor that is certified or
Mm.
specializes in divorce, somebody that the attorney can even rely on. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I've learned after doing this for so many years is the reason, as I said, that we wind up with motion after motion is because there's no court orders in place or very little court orders in place. And I want people to realize that it's actually up to their attorney to request the court orders from the judge. It's not the judge's responsibility, in my experience and opinion, to think of all the orders because the attorney and the client know the case better than the court does.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important. And as a result of that, and as a result of my teachings, I have a lot of attorneys that call me up before they file the MSA with the court. They'll call me up and say, "This is a situation. We're going to be selling the home. Can you please email me some suggested orders that would help the sale of the home because this is what's going on?" And I think it's important that they just line themselves up and get through the divorce. It might be difficult, but it's not the end. I've been through a divorce myself, and let's get through this and go back to happy land.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you, Michael, very, very much. I appreciate all the knowledge and the nuggets that you've dropped today. You're going to help a lot of people as we push this out into the world. And for those of you listening, thank you very much for listening. And I will see you next time in Spotlight.
Thank you, Laurel.